Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here. Today's video is on my favorite sexy saffron scents. If that's something that interests you, stay tuned for that. Okay, so I don't know if everyone knows saffron. If you cook, you've probably cooked with it, or if you have relations to the East or the Middle East, you've cooked with it. But saffron, and this is, I'm blessed to have had this brought back from the East, is these little like red strands. They come from the saffron flower, and they will actually stain the food this bright yellow. I've seen it in like Spanish chicken dishes, and of course like the Iranian rice that they make that is so amazing. And it has this like earthy, spicy sweet kind of smell to it, which gives this amazing depth to a fragrance, this like spicy touch to it with the earthiness. So I thought I would feature fragrances that have a prominent saffron note. I was going through my bottles and kind of admiring the aesthetics of a few of them, and this one really caught my eye. I just love the aesthetics of this bottle. And the title is Saffron Lazuli, and I was like, you know what? Let's do saffron. This is such a pretty scent, and you know, it's fairly new to me. I got it before the weather got really warm, so I haven't been able to wear it. So I'm really looking forward to wearing this now that it's cooling off. And you know me, I don't necessarily have 10. I wanted to cover my favorites. They are primarily very unisex, by my standards, unisex. There's one or two that I might tell you leans masculine or feminine. I'll let you know when we get to those. But let's just start with this one by Carolina Herrera, the Confidential line. I do love this. Oh my goodness. Look, I have like a cheat sheet of like what body part has what fragrance on me. It's crazy. This one is on my right hand. This one is so beautiful, and it opens with this like warm, spicy leatheriness. But if you're a little apprehensive with leather like I am, and I don't like too powerful or masculine of a leather, this doesn't go there. It's strong enough for a man. I feel like a secret deodorant commercial right now. Strong enough for a man, but made for a woman. Yeah. But it also has enough vanilla in there to be like sweetened up. At first I thought, gosh, this kind of reminds me of Spirito Fiorentino by Tiziana Terenzi, which I actually do not like. That one is way too masculine for me, way too heavy, rich of a leather, very smoky, has a little sweetness in it, reminiscent of Baccarat Rouge, but to me it's a prominent leather smoky scent, and I just can't do that one. This one is way tamer than that and has more floral to it. It has rose in here, which lightens it, and rose isn't always that light, but it also has iris, but I do not get the powderiness from that. There's black currant at the top, but you get like a little bit of a sweeter opening from that, but the leather does start to sneak through right away. And you know, you have saffron at the top too that gives it this spicy, fruity, sweet kind of opening with a touch of that leather. And there's just something so sexy and confident about this fragrance that, you know, for me, it's feminine enough that I'm cool with this one, and I really think this is sexy on a man as well. This one is incredible if you like that touch of saffron sass in there. Saffron Lazuli. And let's just get out of the way. The two most commonly thought of saffron fragrances, which is Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Baccarat Rouge 540 and the Extrait version. I've gone back and forth with which is my favorite. They do have that saffron in there, kind of sassing it up a little bit with that sweetness going on. I find the sweetness to be different in the two. Of course, they are the same. They are very much the same, but also quite a bit of difference. You know, you all know if you've had them both. I do find the Extrait to be smoother, less projection, but a smoother sweetness, more of like a cotton candy, where this is more of that burnt sugar, which I didn't like at first, and now I kind of appreciate it. Especially with like the woods and resins in there, the fir resins, I really like that burnt sugar kind of going with those resins together. I really like that combination. But it is your cliche saffron jasmine, spicy jasmine with that sweetness and the resins, and it just gives this intoxicating kind of trail and projection. And I think you all know these two. I don't even really need to mention it probably, but it also I just felt remiss not mentioning them. Let me just take a quick break to say that if you keep coming back to my videos and you have still not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. Subscribe. It's free and easy to do, and it helps me get into more feeds if you would help me with that. The next one I do find more masculine. Personally, I know men and women wear it, but I do find it masculine, is Oud for Greatness. And the last time I featured this ring came off and I have no idea where it is, which makes this cap not fit properly. And yes, I'm a little grumpy about it, but we'll get over it. Maybe. Oud for Greatness obviously is an oud scent, and it also has that saffron that sasses this up. And then when my friend wears this, it smells so much better than on me. It doesn't work with my chemistry, but you get that sweetness of that Baccarat Rouge, kind of like the way Spirito Fiorentino does, where it has like just this hint of that same sweetness coming through. You get that in here too, where it's more of this whiff of it. It's not prominent, but you get these little blasts of it, and you're like, did you layer with Baccarat Rouge? Like, where did that come from? It smells so good, but it really is a dark, smoky, spicy, saffron oud kind of smell. It has that leather in there too. All those notes just kind of give me that dark, sexy, masculine kind of feel. Almost like an incensey kind of vibe from here. Unfortunately, on my skin, that whole incensey thing turns ashtray on me, and not in a good way. This one is so good. Oud for Greatness by Initio. The next one is somewhat new. You've seen me feature this recently at the launch, which is House of Sillage from the Whispers of the Gardenois collection, Whispers of Temptation. This one, where did I put you? Left forearm. Yeah, there's something, there's like a suede note in here to me. I'm sure it's leather, but it comes off softer, like suede that blends with a skin scent. Kind of just blends in. You don't get that on paper. You really have to wear these on skin, and on skin is where you get it blending in, where it's like a suede skin. It does have oud in here. And the saffron is in the mid, is where that spiciness starts to come through. It opens up, now it's been on my skin for a little bit, but it does open fresher, more vibrant with the cardamom and the plum and the blackcurrant, giving it this vibrant kind of brightness to it. Then quickly that saffron comes in and mellows this out. The leather comes in. Oh, it is a suede note. Yeah, it smells more of suede than leather to me. And an Australian sandalwood that keeps it smooth smelling. So you have that like woody, oud, suede, everything's smooth in there. And the saffron that gives it that earthy kind of spice. So good. But it does have enough sweetness in it. And this again is amazing on men or women. This is not something that I find to be overly feminine. Certainly feminine enough for me to wear it. It is literally straight down the middle in my view. A really good one that you should get your hands on. And I've seen them do 30% site-wide sales, which includes this new collection. So keep your eye open. The next one I want to feature is from Fragrance du Bois. Now there were 3 that I considered and I went middle of the road. I could have done Petals de Cashmere, which I have, which is definitely a lighter area fragrance. It doesn't have the oud in it. It's kind of like a break from all those heavier oud fragrances that they have, kind of just appealing to a whole nother audience, and also people that live in different kind of weather that just might want a different type of lighter, fresher fragrances. And then there's also the opposite end of the spectrum, Sahraa, which is a beautiful, deep oud with rose and saffron, and it's just deep and sexy, and I love that one. You do have to like your ouds and appreciate your ouds. It is not a stanky oud. I don't do stanky ouds, but you do have to appreciate the elegance of oud because they use exquisite quality ouds. But I went middle of the road and I went with Milano. I like this one. This is when I'm in a sassy mood, when I'm in a like sassy ripped jeans and leather kind of mood, in of course a like fashionable sort of way. Now Milano to me it's a leather fragrance, but it's a very elegant leather fragrance. If you know, like I compare to Memo Paris has their French leather, which is a very soft, delicate kind of leather, of a good quality leather, and it's perfect because Milano, the fashion capital, you think of beautiful Italian leathers, and that's really what this is. It's so good. You can really smell the saffron in this one, especially on paper. It does have some fruity notes in there, which elevates it, and the florals elevate it. And again, it's a lighter kind of leather, not a deep, dark leather. But that saffron gives it, mixed with the leather, gives it this like earthy, spicy kind of earthy note kind of to it, this like dry earthy. This is not really a sweet fragrance at all. I consider it drier, but not bone dry. It does have like a vanilla musk amber in the base that gives it that body, gives it some projection, softens it a little bit because it's not this bone dry leather saffron fragrance either. It's in the most gentle way. This is absolutely 100% unisex, but I just think it's a really nice play with the leather that allows you to be feminine and wear this, but it is feminine in a rough and tumble kind of like sexy, sassy kind of way. Yeah, this is not your like girly girl scent. It's when you're in a more feisty mood, but it still has enough femininity to it that I really enjoy this one. The next one is going to surprise you. It's actually from Dapper Fragrances, and it's mulamoola. I have recently tried these fragrances and I'm blown away. I do have the original Byron Parfums mulamoola, but as an affordable option, I am so impressed by this. Like I've tried several of them now and I just keep like diving through and I'm really blown away. And he has a combo hybrid, which I hadn't even thought about that combination, but it is probably a base layer that I do with cream. Is he has a combo with this with Sol de Janeiro's Crush that he just does in the bottle for you. So my friend Sahraa at Glam Finds got me onto this brand. She got me onto this brand and I'm so super impressed with the quality and some of the, they do the best discontinued fragrances that are cult favorites that you can't find, and he nails it. I've seen him do other fragrances that just don't last, that he's kind of umped him up, like Parfums de Marly Cassili. He did do that one and he really pumped up the peach in there that I found it actually better because it just kind of pumped up what it was lacking. And then just some that are overpriced or some that are just really popular. This one opens with caramel and the fruits and some saffron. His kind of goes to the mid a little bit faster. Sometimes I did notice that, but they open so smooth, way smoother than the Middle Eastern fragrances do. They tend to come out the gate a little rough around the edges and need, in general, 5-10 minutes to settle, where his just come out so smooth, and sometimes he just kind of fast forwards over bumpy sections and just goes right to the smoothness of the like opening mid, like the mid comes in faster, I notice. All right, I get that caramel in here now. It's more powerful. Crazy. I do find that his fragrances are like amped up a little bit, which is kind of nice sometimes. And you get that cypriol oil I do get in here. But it's just such a beautiful, sweet, powerful, spicy, probably more on that sweet, especially in the beginning. Then when it settles down, you'll get more of that kind of spice and that sweet benzoin stuff around you. But it's just, the blending on that one is so good. If you haven't tried mulamoola, there's just this great balance where it's not a cloying sweet. It's not an ultra spicy that you can only wear in the cold weather or at night. It's kind of this nice blend with a little bit of each that just makes it so appropriate for so many environments that I love. So mulamoola and Dapper. I do have a referral code. This is not an affiliate code, but I do have just your generic referral link that I will put down that will give you a discount code. He also does incredible discounts all the time, and there's a point system. So if I put down, I know there's a promo right now for holiday 15 until the end of the year for 15% off, but there's even bigger discounts if you're spending more. I just placed another order for, I think it was $300. I bought a bunch. Okay, it was like 13 more I wanted because I was really impressed and I wanted to try more for you. And I got a 30% off code. I think it was save 30 when it's over 300, which is really significant to think how many of those fragrances. And this is 30 mLs. The next one I find to be a little bit more feminine. And I'm sorry, it's a mini. I haven't gotten the big one yet, but it is the Kayali Pink Pepper. What's the full name? Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper 25. Comes in actually a gorgeous, like metallic pink bottle. I think is so beautiful and I would get, but I can't justify it until I finish this one. I love this one. This one, I love pink pepper because pink pepper is like this spicy, sweet bomb that really kind of sasses up a fragrance. And it opens up with that pink pepper and the saffron, giving this gorgeous, sweet, spicy opening. And then it does have the florals in the mid, but it maintains that kind of floral, big, bold, vivacious, powerful fragrance. You wouldn't expect less from Monica with that sweet and spiciness and just feminine. And it's an amber fragrance. I would call it an amber, like a spiced amber, sweet, floral. Yeah, this one's good. I do like when the rose and the magnolia come out in the mid and just give it a little bit more of that femininity to that boom. And I think this is my favorite from all her fragrances. I have all of them but one, and I happen to really like them a lot and love how they layer together. But this one really is a standout for me. Absolutely love the pink pepper. It'd be a video without a Raja. You know, I always have my favorites in here. So this is technically a Raja Dove. It's the Pierre de Vallee collection, #1. This one is only available at the Raja Dove Haute Parfumerie. It is a collection that Raja Dove did when he was it a small town in France, I think, where he was exploring, and he found this book of notes from some guy named Pierre de Vallee, is what the book was signed, and it was all these formulas for perfumes. And Raja thought, these look really intriguing. So as an homage to him, he kept the name. He tried his hardest to find who this guy is and find him, and just didn't seem to exist. I mean, maybe it was a nickname, who knows? But he could not find him, and he did tweak them. He did add that Raja flair, but knowing the Raja collections, I'm gonna say he did a good job at keeping this guy's kind of fingerprint to it that he had described in those fragrances, because it definitely doesn't have that same Raja Dove flair. But the same Raja Dove quality, but not the DNA in the fragrance itself, in what Raja tends to create, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. He tends to make Well, it is close to the body. He does make them a little more intimate fragrances. They're not meant to precede you walking into a room. He does believe that they should be more intimate between you and the person you're having a conversation with, not an entire auditorium. So that's not the Raja style. Now, the paired one is what I consider an oud rose, but it also has that saffron. It is a drier oud rose. It is not like a jammy oud rose that I typically think of. The saffron definitely plays in there. This is probably even more stunning on a man, but I absolutely love this one. Oh, and they have good sales there too, so take advantage of those sales. Yeah, it definitely sits closer to you, and it has this almost leathery kind of feel to it. The way that like a suede skin kind of feel to it with the rose and the oud and the little, just a touch of saffron. It's stronger in the beginning, even though it's in the base. Oh man, I love this one. You do get, it's a rose jasmine combo, but to me personally, I feel like you get more of that rose and a sweetness. You do get that vanilla musk kind of base in here that I really, really love. And even though it has benzoin, this doesn't project a lot like a benzoin typically does. I do find this rides closer. I do find that this is one of the longer lasting ones in the Pierre de Vallee collection. I think this is kind of one of the stars that's risen to the top. And, you know, being that it's not like a lot of people can get their nose on these fragrances and pick which is their favorite. They're a little bit at the mercy of what is covered on YouTube, and being that it is male dominated over there in the Raja house of who reviews them, they did gravitate to this as one of them, even though there's a lot of other really good men's fragrances that I find amazing on men. I did do a video on the whole house, a quick overview of them all. Missing one, I didn't realize I didn't have a sample of one of them, but this one I find to be a real stunner, a class act, more demure and elegant because it sits closer and there's just something alluring that makes you want to get closer to get a better smell on this one. It's, man, I personally get, and it's probably that labdanum. There's labdanum in here, which is probably giving me that suede because I get that leather, like suede rose, with a little bit of vanilla musk, giving it that like skin scent kind of feel to it. The rose and saffron, like it's really pretty addictive. I like this one, man. I need to wear you. And look, it matches too. This one might surprise you, but this one is also another oud rose drier kind of combination, and it's by Xerjoff, and it is wartesina in this gorgeous red felt that looks just so regal. I love this one. I was introduced to this by Notes Punch, who has a very masculine collection. So if we both gravitate to this, you know it's truly, truly unisex. That's what I love about comparing with him. This one opens fresh, but that's quick. And then you have the rose and the saffron and some cedar that come through. Did I spray this one for, yeah. This one is so fascinating to me because if you look at the notes, it's not really what I get. I definitely get violet in here. Like there's a powderiness in here. And it's almost talcum powder like, but like a rose scented talcum powder, if that makes sense. And you have that base of the oud. It is drier. It is not a sweet one, but there's something about that powder trail and this seriously intoxicating sillage that anyone that has bought this off my recommendation has come back to me and told me that, yeah, this has the most intoxicating trail that will permeate like an entire building and leave people sniffing with their nose looking for you. It's just incredible. But it is pretty much a rose oud, powdery scent. There's tobacco in here, but I don't get a true tobacco, and tobacco is another note that I'm very apprehensive with. I think that just lends to the dryness in here, because tobacco doesn't typically agree with my skin too well. There's just enough vanilla in here, but I don't consider it a sweet scent. I'd call it like maybe semi-sweet, if we want to call it something. And the saffron is in the middle, so you really get that like earthy spice to it. So I would think between the tobacco and the saffron giving a more dry, earthy tone to that rose scented powdery kind of sillage that you're getting, and then that oud and the woody. I think there's maybe patchouli and cedar in here too. Could be patchouli leaf because it is very fresh. It's not deep and rich like a patchouli can be, and a patchouli usually lends some sweetness too, and that's not in here. Patchouli leaf is probably what's in here. It's yeah, I highly recommend this one. It's surprisingly intoxicating and works really well on both scents. I mean, I think I even daringly wore this while traveling one time just to see if I could provoke some reactions, because sometimes I feel like being a mischief like that, you know? Sometimes I need excitement in my life. But yeah. The next one is another affordable one that I happen to really, really love. And that is, I'm sorry, it is a Royalty Scents Travel. I haven't purchased the full size because I still have quite a bit here. And even though it's like $40 or $50, pretty darn reasonable for the whole thing. Shouldn't have did that, but now that I tried it, I know I like it. Oof. This one is, this one's incredible. This one is a powerhouse. This one is, you know what? I feel like being bold and vivacious and making myself known. I want to be known for my fragrance. That's when you pull this out. This is that Middle Eastern powerhouse, and they know how to make a presence. This one is, it's another rose oud, but it definitely has a lot more spices than the others. It definitely kicks that up. Almost like rose oud aromatic. Like, it's crazy. It's you have geranium in here too, which to me is a very peppery flower. It's probably why I'm not a huge fan of it unless it's blended in there right. Like, it has to be in a spicy fragrance for me to appreciate geranium. Otherwise it's spice where I really don't want it. And that rose and vanilla really comes out in here. Okay, so it's an oud rose vanilla fragrance with spiciness, and a lot of spiciness. And it has that body of an amber too. Like, it has that booming ambery factor to it. So you can tell, like, just listen to those notes. Yes, that's the kind of powerhouse this is. It's not like a jammy rose. It's more of a powdered sugar rose petal kind of fragrance. I think I've compared this before to like Delina exclusive. They're not identical, but the way the rose and the vanilla is in there, the way it's like a powdered sugar rose, is similar to Delina, and then Delina also has the oud in there. Delina is more tame. This has those spices in there. It has that saffron that is definitely in there. It's pretty darn prominent. You have the smoothness or creaminess of the nutmeg, which is always that little touch that just finishes off a recipe, right? Like when you're making like a cream, like an Italian cream sauce, just a little touch of nutmeg just kind of sends it over the edge, right? Or we make a lot of butternut squash soup here because butternut squash grow like weeds here. They just keep growing and proliferating. I haven't planted them ever. We threw some seeds out with compost, and we have had a cornucopia of butternut squash ever since. It's hysterical. They proliferate like rabbits do. But with that butternut squash, also like a little nutmeg sometimes can help it. This is, yeah, definitely sweeter. I'm gonna say this is feminine. Sorry, guys. I think that powdered sugar note in there really just kind of, with the rose, Delina exclusive. If you would wear Delina exclusive, you could wear this. Just put it that way. I'm not going to judge. But to me, it leans a little feminine. Amouage Journey. This one is so good. I always, you know, I always regret, when I put it back on, I regret having not worn it. I get like this vanilla sandalwood, but so much more exotic than that. It's like an exotic Samsara to me. Or the original Samsara, not the bastardized one they have now. So it opens fresher. It opens fresh with like an orange citrus, kind of apricot-y orange, like from the osmanthus. This one, Journey literally takes you on a journey, so it's so hard to identify this one without this like full extensive video that most people don't watch because you have to be interested in that one very fragrance. It quickly settles down and deepens and gets like a woody sense. And there's that nutmeg again too, which gives it that creamy kind of spicy scent, which is also so good in the fall. And there is that vanilla musk that's always there, kind of giving it that softer base floating around. And then the saffron is in the base, giving it a spice. Like this one is just crazy. You need to just experience it because it just goes all over the map, and you really just have to wear it for the day because it changes a lot. But it's always pleasant to me. It's never challenging. I mean, I'm not gonna go say, oh, this is mass appealing. Everywhere you go, they're gonna love this like it's some cotton candy fragrance that everywhere you go and it's like cliche, because it's not cliche. It's definitely interesting. It's definitely more sophisticated and takes you on this journey. But that vanilla musk, and even, I mean, I get sandalwood, even though there's no sandalwood listed, I do get sandalwood. There's something pleasant about that makes it easy to wear and easy for your company to enjoy it. It's not obtrusive, it's not offensive by any fashion, but it is interesting for the wearer, for how it goes through this process and journey from the top notes, middle notes to base notes. It's constantly changing as it's like morphing into where it lands. Now I do wish this one lasted longer, because when I do wear it for that, I kind of put it on and hope that I'm gonna get over 12 hours, and I don't. I mean, I know that is very ambitious expectations from a perfume. It's just kind of what I'm hoping for, because I know it's gonna take me on a long journey and I wanna just relax and enjoy it through the day. But it's certainly more than adequate. I'm gonna say 8, and then it's this light skin scent that you can kind of get. There is something reminiscent to the original Samsara to me. And again, Samsara, there was something bewitching about it as much as it was these simple notes, right? Okay, so that's that. That is my, I don't know how many that was, 12, 13, I don't really know. Those were my favorite saffron sexy scents. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Give it a big fat thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. And I will see you in the next one. Mwah.